Ladies, do you have big things that you want to achieve in 2025, but you aren't sure how to balance those goals with your existing workload? Today, I want to talk you through an activity that can help you to clarify, prioritize, and organize your tasks so that you'll actually be able to fit it all in. Hello, my charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. If this is your first time with me, I would like to say welcome. My name is Alexis, but I'm also known as MissTrenchcoat all across the internet, and I help ambitious women like you plan for a balanced and successful life. And in today's video, we are diving into an important strategy that you need to use to balance your life. So if your to-do list has been stressing you out and you're wondering how you're actually going to be able to get more done in 2025 when you already have so many things that you're responsible for and are taking up all of your time, you are in the right place. Because today I'm going to share a straightforward process to help you cut down on overwhelm and focus on what truly matters. Sound good? So let's face it, most of us feel like we're constantly behind on our tasks, especially women who juggle multiple priorities and roles and responsibilities. Instead of working harder or hustling more to get more done, it's time that we start to work smarter by directing our energy to the right tasks. So the key here is that we need to define our top priorities, list out all of the tasks and responsibilities that belong to each priority, and apply a simple decision-making tool to figure out what stays and what goes. So I'm actually going to walk you through a little bit of a demonstration of this activity and process. So let's jump into a split screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our demonstration, our little activity for today. As you can see, you've got my iPad screen here on the split screen, so you'll be able to follow along. And I have on screen right now my end of year prep checklist. Now, I know it's going to be the beginning of 2025 when this video goes live, but if you haven't downloaded this free checklist yet, I definitely recommend it because it has some really important and impactful items for you to do for your new year prep. And I totally understand the mindset and the feeling that now it's 2025, so the prep phase is over. I should have had things done last year, but we want to get out of that limiting belief mindset because you can still take action to prepare yourself for your year right now, right? Especially because we're still at the beginning of the year, right? But if you're watching this video in the future, I will tell you, I think that having a plan for your year, whether or not you're doing it in December or January or in the middle of May, I still think it's important for you once you realize that you need to get organized to become efficient. I think it's important for you to do some essential prep, and the items on this checklist are very important and will definitely help you to boost your productivity. So I'll leave you guys a link down below to get this free checklist while it's still available. Okay, so now you can see that I've actually got us onto a blank page here, and I'm using just like a blank page in my planner really quickly so that I can do this demonstration with you. So the first part of this activity that we're going to do, and you can grab an iPad like I've got, you can get a notebook, you could do this on your computer or on your phone, you can totally type this out. But the first thing that we need to do, the first step in this activity, is we have to identify our 5 priorities for the year ahead. That's right, I said 5, right? Because it is very important for us to drill down to what the priority areas of our life are going to be moving forward into the next year. The reason is because a lot of us, a lot of women who have, multiple priorities, lots of responsibilities, they juggle a whole bunch of tasks and wear tons of hats. If that's you, you know what it feels like to be spread way too thin. And that's one of the reasons why you feel overwhelmed moving into the new year and feeling like, how can I possibly set new goals or take on new things when I'm already so bogged down? Part of the reason that you're so bogged down is that you have too many priorities. So the first step in this activity is to get very clear with yourself on what your priority areas are going to be for your life in this new year. And we are going to write them down. So actually what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to put some lines on this screen. I'm just going to divide this page up into like 5 areas. I know this is not going to be perfect, and you're going to have to excuse my horrible handwriting, but this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? So you can have up to 5 priorities. And if you are someone who's like, you know what, I don't want 5 priorities, I want 3 or I want 2, that's totally fine. Up to 5, 5 is the total, right? Now, here's the kicker here. Number 1 is going to be you, your name. Okay, you are number 1. And if you've never heard me say this before, it is because you need to be your top priority. Your needs need to be met first. This all goes back to that, the airline safety example, right? Of you need to secure your own oxygen mask first. And I know that it's hard for women to do this because we feel like we need to be putting other people first and we need to be selfless. But if you are running on low, if you are not taken care of, if you are empty and drained and not having your needs met, you are going to have less energy and less time and less motivation to help other people. So I believe that the more filled your cup is, that means that you have more to give to other people. So that I think that putting yourself first is not selfish, right? It's self-care, right? And it is the best way to ensure that all of the other priorities, all the other people and things in your life get the best attention from you and get the best from you each and every day is because you put yourself first. So you are putting yourself as number 1, okay? Then you can go ahead and fill in this list as you see fit. And I do think it's important to kind of put this in order of the things in your life that are more important to less important. You're most important, so you are number 1, right? But you may also go ahead and put in like your family or your kids or your spouse. Those would be some other priorities that you might put on here. You might put in your job or your business, right? You could even put in like your home or your financial institution. This is what I'm going to do. Yep. And then I'm going to say church here. Like that's another sort of community organization that you might have as a priority for you in your life. So this is just an example, right? And when you write this list, you may not just put family, you may not just put church or home or business. I want you to actually write out what that thing is called. So family might be like the name of your family, right? For me, like the Trenchcoat family, right? That's not my real last name, but for the purposes of YouTube, it is. But I want you to actually write in what the real priorities are. So if you put your children here, you may put their names, you can keep them as one priority if you're lumping them together. Same thing with like your partner, your pets, right? Anything that's important to you, your family, your friends. You're going to list out what these 5 areas are that are most important to you this year. These are the areas of your life that you're hoping to establish new standards in, to maintain standards, or to like increase standards of some sort, right? So these are the areas of your life where you're actually going to be setting goals and taking action. And because you've limited it to 5, you're going to have a lot more energy to give to each of these areas or each of these buckets. Okay, so the next step of this process is we need to actually write down, record, brain dump all of the tasks and responsibilities that we feel belong to each of these priorities, right? Every task, every project, everything that you know that you need to do for these areas of your life, we are going to brain dump them down. And so for the purposes of keeping this video, right, as brief as possible, I'm going to focus on 2 of these priorities today, the family and the business priority, right? And I'm actually going to walk us through the examples for these. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with family, right? Because that was number 2 on this list. So what are all the things that you need to do for your family? Again, so this is just an example to walk us through the activity. So what are some items that you might be responsible for in the area of your family? So maybe you're responsible for like grocery and errands, right? Maybe you're responsible for like cooking meals. Maybe you do the cleaning, the laundry. Oh, maybe something that you want to do this year is do some family game nights, right? You'd love to do something like that. Maybe you need to also schedule doctor's appointments for your family for the year. What else? Maybe you're also helping with homework for your kids. Maybe like date nights with your partner, right? Maybe there are some sports teams your kids need to enroll in. Right? Maybe you send your kids to like summer camp, right? So you are going to go ahead and do this brain dump of all the things that you can think of for this priority area. So before we move on to step 3, I'm going to go ahead and do another example for this, and we're going to use these examples to follow through with the rest of the steps. So the next one is business. So let's say in this example, you are someone who would like to start an online business, and just for simplicity's sake, we'll say that the type of business you want to start is like an online planner company, okay? So what are all the tasks that you can think of that you feel like you need to do for your business? So maybe designing inserts. Maybe you need to set up e-commerce so you could sell them. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. Create graphics for your listings. Do market research. What else? Oh, obviously create video content. Oh, maybe you want to do some like financial tracking for your business. Maybe you want to organize a file system. Oh, maybe you want to learn how to like code a website so you can build your own website. And maybe you want to brainstorm holiday packaging. Okay, so you have this huge brainstorm that you do for your business, okay? So you're gonna do this obviously for each of your priorities, and your priorities may be completely different than the ones that I've listed here, but that's the way it is. We all have different lives, different priorities. That's the wonderful thing about, being unique human beings. So, okay, so that is the next step, is to do the complete brain dumps. From there, the next thing that we need to do is actually to apply, like I said, that tool that we can use to help us make decisions and to help us prioritize what the tasks are that we need to work on, is an Eisenhower Matrix. So an Eisenhower Matrix looks like this. I'm going to build it out on screen. It's just a 4-quadrant matrix. And you may end up doing one of these each for each of your priorities. That's totally fine. So you see the 4 quadrants, right? And up top, we're going to put, it doesn't really matter, urgent, not urgent. You could do this either way. And then on the side here, important and not important. Okay, and so that is the quadrant. And you could put the importance on the top and you could put the urgents on the side, however you want to do it. It doesn't really matter. But we want to make sure that we have these 4 quadrants, that we're going to be able to take each of the tasks and apply them to this matrix by their importance and urgency. Now, I do want to kind of give you a little bit of a explainer for what that means. So when things are urgent, right, it means that like we need to take action on it right now, right? It's really something that we need to have done, like, right, it has a high priority. Something that's not urgent might be something that we could actually deal with later. It doesn't have to be done today, right now. It doesn't have to go on our immediate like task list. Something that's not urgent may be better put into like a routine. It might be something that we are going to schedule to do at a later date, okay? Then important and not important. So I know what you're thinking. You probably are thinking that every single solitary thing that you put down on your list is important, right? And of course, I'm not going to question you on that, right? Everything that you are writing down may be important to you, but for the process of prioritization, we really have to understand like importance in terms of like how necessary it is that this thing gets done like sooner rather than later, right? How important really is this thing in the grand scheme of things? Like how much of an impact or weight is the task going to have, right? So for that reason, we break things into important and non-important. And this is going to be something that's totally unique to you and what you feel like is important in your life, right? Because we have to drill down and we actually have to say some things are important and some things are less important, right? So this is going to be something that there is no right or wrong. I can't tell you like an ultimate like guide of how to prioritize different things, because the way I prioritize things may be different than the way you prioritize them. But I'm going to do my best to show you guys like an example of how you might do this for each of our examples that we just had. So, when it comes to, let's go ahead, and I'm actually going to really, just for simplicity's sake, let's go ahead and do the family one first, right? And I'm just going to take all these because I can. I'm going to copy them and I'm going to bring it over here just so I have the list. I'm just going to put it down below, and what we're going to do is just assign these things to where they're going to go. Okay, so what things, where do these things go? I'm just going to take them one at a time. So grocery shopping and running errands, right? In the way that Alexis thinks, I think that this is something that is perhaps urgent, but not really super important, okay? So it's going to go in there, okay? Because obviously you need to run errands, you need to get things, you need to buy groceries. Cooking, right? So is another one that I would say it is urgent, but it's not like super important. Cleaning. Yeah, it's the same thing. Laundry. Oops. I've taken too many letters. Okay, there we go. Laundry. Okay. Next, the family game nights. The family game nights, this is something else where this is something that, like I said in my example, this was like something maybe we were trying to add into our lives this year. So for that reason, I am going to put it into the important but not urgent category, right? Because it's not like we have to have a family game night every single solitary night. It's not something you have to worry about right now, but it's something that you may want to kind of create a schedule around, right? So we're going to put it there. Next, scheduling the doctor's appointments. That's something that probably does need to be done now, right? So this is important and urgent. Okay, helping your children with homework, right? So that might be something, I don't know, like I'm thinking that that's something that would be an important to do item. Like when it comes up that your children are doing their homework tonight, tomorrow, whatever it is, you are going to prioritize that, right? Because it's important to you. Next, date nights. Again, important, but it's not urgent. Sports enrollment. Let's say maybe there's something you have to get your kids signed up for it now, right? And summer camp. Maybe summer's a little bit away. So we are going to put it in, we'll put it in not urgent and important but not urgent, or maybe not. Maybe it's not important and not urgent. I'm going to put it there because we didn't use that quadrant. Okay, so now how do you act on these quadrants? Okay, so anything that's important and urgent is, generally speaking, this is a do now, do ASAP, right? This is something that goes on your to-do list for now. Anything that is important but not urgent can be scheduled, right? Either for a specific day, or you maybe turn it into a routine sort of a thing, right? Like family game nights, you could do them every Friday. Maybe date nights with your spouse, maybe are things you guys do on a Wednesday or a Sunday, right? Whatever schedule you want to put it on, or whatever routine you want to have it in, that is absolutely up to you, right? So next is the not important but urgent category. So these are things that you want to either delegate, automate, or systematize. Meaning, you want to cut back the amount of time and energy that you need to be using on these tasks, in these areas, of the priority. So for example, like grocery and errands, right? A way that you could deal with that is you could delegate it to your spouse sometimes, absolutely. You could automate it in terms of having grocery delivery done. That means that, maybe you make the grocery list and you put it in online, but then you don't have to go to the store and do the shopping. You just have it brought to you, right? That's a way to make it easier, right? Cooking, right? Again, something you could delegate, something you could automate. You could even automate in terms of a way that you might be able to automate it is doing like one of those, maybe like those meal subscription services where they send you meals, right? That's a way to automate it. Or you could systemize it where maybe you create like a meal chart where you sometimes are making dinner, your spouse might sometimes be making dinner. Maybe some days you guys get takeout, right? Like you actually create like a system for how meals are done, right? So that's some examples for how you would delegate, automate, systematize some areas. And then the not important, not urgent, right? So this summer camp's not coming up for you. Maybe you guys are going to do it this year, maybe you're not. Maybe it's not a high priority right now for you to be thinking about this. So it's something you're either going to defer or delete, right? You'll defer thinking about this. And maybe you might even say, okay, you know what? It's January now. I don't want to think about this until May, right? So you want to defer it till May. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to plan it out, but you're saying, I'll look at it again in May, right? So that is an example of how you would break down these tasks in order to identify what's truly priority. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do that other business example. I'm going to go ahead and erase. Okay, so for our business example, you can see I've gone ahead, I've cleared out this Eisenhower matrix, and I've brought over the tasks that we brain dumped already. So let's go ahead and start putting these in the areas that they belong on. So if you're trying to start a new business, designing planner inserts or selling planners and planner inserts, obviously having insert designs is going to be very important. And it's going to be something that's a little bit more urgent. Setting up the e-commerce store, I'm also going to go with that's important and urgent. If YouTube is the platform that you want to market and promote on, then I would say that's also important. Creating graphics. Let's say you're someone who thinks, oh my goodness, I don't know like where to even begin with this. Like I have to figure out how to create graphics or maybe find someone to do it. So we're going to say that for right now, this is something that is urgent, but it's not really important for you to put your energy behind it because you'd probably have to spend a lot of time and energy to actually get the thing done. And there might be a better way for you to get it done. So we're going to put it in not important and urgent. Doing market research. I always think that if you're going to start a business, that would be urgent. Creating video content. It's obviously important, but it's not the first thing you need to do. Putting together a financial tracking system. Let's go ahead and put it here. It's probably not as important, but it's something that probably feels urgent to do. Organizing your file system. I think that's probably not urgent and not important. Again, learning to code HTML so you could build a website, probably, again, not urgent and not important. And I'm going to say the same thing with maybe our brainstorming the holiday packaging, right? Because it's so long, we don't really have to worry about that. So that's how I would break down these items, right? Again, you might do something different. So again, important and urgent means that we're putting this on the do now list, like we're doing this now. Important but not urgent means we're going to schedule this. And again, how you might schedule this video content, you might go ahead and actually create like either you might schedule a day to do like a bulk filming so that you can create like all of your content for like a month at a time. You might go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to put my videos out every Wednesday. And so on Mondays, I will film a video and then Tuesdays I will edit the video so that it's up for Wednesday, right? You're going to create a schedule to actually get that going in, right? Then not important but urgent. This is the delegate, automate, and systemize, right? And so you might delegate creating graphics to someone else. Maybe you'll hire someone on like one of those websites where you can get the graphic design people to help you because you know what? It would be a lot of time and energy and effort for you to do it. It's maybe worth it for you to get the graphics made by someone else. Financial tracking, that's something where, again, you might be able to automate that. that's something that you might be able to automate. Example, if you have like a business credit card or like business accounts, you could maybe get one of those financial tracking system like apps or software things that like integrate with your banking. And then all you have to do is go in and like, say what the expenses were for, or like, approve payments and things like that. So you could automate that, or you could turn it into a system where you maybe go ahead and do your financial tracking on like a monthly or quarterly basis, but it's not something that you need to be doing every single day necessarily, right? So those are, some examples for delegating, automating, systemizing. Then the not urgent and not important, again, these are like defer or delete things, right? So organizing the file system, right? Like you're like, oh, do I even need to worry about this right now? Like maybe you're like, let's see how disorganized I get, and then I'll build a file system later. Learning to code HTML. Again, it may be something that you don't even need to do, right? So maybe you're going to delete it, right? Because, to be honest with you, there's a lot of plug and play website platforms out there, and you could even perhaps hire someone to do your website, so you don't have to really worry about this. We'll defer this for later. Brainstorm the holiday packaging. Again, we're saying we're in January now, so maybe you don't want to think about this until September, right? So right ahead of the holiday time, to give you enough time to place an order if you want to do some holiday packaging. So that's another defer. So that is the process that you're going to follow, right, in order to integrate all the things you already have to do in your life for 2025 with all of the new things that you want to do. You're essentially going to list out the priorities, brain dump all the tasks and responsibilities, and then apply all of them together to this matrix to determine how you are going to act on them moving forward, right? So that is my little activity and my little tool for you guys to use. And let's now talk about what happens when you actually commit to this process. So the first thing I think will happen for you if you commit to actually doing this activity for yourself. So I think you're going to actually realize how many tasks that you're doing aren't really serving your needs, and that you don't actually have to be doing everything that you think is on your to-do list, right? And hopefully the examples that I walked you through gave you guys some like inspiration for thinking creatively or thinking outside of the box of how you might get a task done without you having to put in like your full time and effort behind it. The next thing you're going to experience when you commit to this process, I believe, is more clarity, right? You're going to see exactly where your energy needs to go, what is urgent, what is important, versus what is just nice to do or extra things or things that are on your mind right now that you should just be deferring to later, right? I'm not saying that like the not important, not urgent things have to be completely deleted, but at least don't let them worry you until it's time to worry about them or to think about them, or don't feel like you have to make decisions or take actions on things that do not have like an immediate impact right now. Next, I think that you are going to experience a little bit more freedom around the idea of delegation, right? So actually handing tasks off to other people, things that you don't need to be involved in, or things that like honestly the barrier to entry for you to actually do the task is just so high that it's not worth it for you to do it, right? Then that's going to free up your time to focus on things that actually matter. And then finally, I'm hoping that you get like this sense of like guilt-free deletion, right? Anything on your list that needs to be removed because it's really not relevant. It's really just something extra. It's just something that you were worried about. A lot of times, I can't tell you how many times I work with women in my community who have things on their to-do list that are literally just like them preparing for a worst case scenario that may never come, right? You will feel so much better when you just give yourself permission to say, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to delete these things off of my list. Or like I said before, I can defer even thinking about them or worrying about them to a time where they become more relevant. And that's it. An easy, practical way to figure out how to get more done in 2025 without drowning in more to-dos. Remember, it starts by clarifying your 5 priorities, dumping all of those tasks and responsibilities onto paper, and then running each task through the Eisenhower Matrix to help you make a sound decision for how you are going to handle each of those tasks. So I definitely encourage you to give this a try as soon as possible. I think you'll be surprised at how many tasks you realize that you can delegate or delete. And once you lighten your load, you'll actually have so much more capacity to focus on things that actually matter in your life. If this was helpful, please make sure to give the video a like and to leave me a comment down below about what you learned, or maybe some priorities that you think might be shifting, or some tasks that you maybe need some help getting some ideas for delegating or automating or systematizing. I'm absolutely all for helping you guys brainstorm those things down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, or you know another busy, overwhelmed woman in your life who needs it, make sure you go ahead and give this video a share, because sharing is caring. If you would like to see more of the behind the scenes of my productivity life and business, make sure you're following me on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.